Hi, I'm Ashwin Krishnan. I'm the CEO of Clarity RCM. We work with over 200 independent dermatology practices across 44 states. And I spend a lot of my time talking with practice owners about what it's like to be an independent practice today. Before starting Clarity, which I founded 8 years ago, I spent 8 years at Airbnb, and I've been in the technology industry working at Airbnb, Apple, and other startups in technology and operations. And this topic is near and dear to my heart because my wife is also a practicing dermatologist and a practice owner here in San Francisco. So the intersection of medicine, healthcare, technology, and independent practice has become a big part of my world. My wife was starting a practice. She didn't go to medical school to learn about business, and circumstance had it that she really felt like she needed to start something on her own. And we kind of made a deal. I said, "You just focus on the clinical side." And so, in doing so, I built a billing solution for her, not intending for it to be useful for other practices. And as fate would have it, it turned out to be useful and never intended to create a company out of this, but here we are 8 years later. Well, I think more than any of the statistics or percentages suggest, I think it really just speaks to the operational complexity of the modern day practice. Practice owners are, they are negotiating with vendors, they're the head of HR, they're managing cybersecurity, they're making purchasing decisions, they're, running a small enterprise while seeing patients all day. And so that operational complexity really makes it uh, a challenge in today's environment. And that's really what this survey underscores to me. Well, I think that number one, it's really a matter of the complexity of running a practice. Practice owners are pulled in a whole lot of different directions, and oftentimes they don't have time to actually take a look at the numbers. So that's one issue. But the other issue is just visibility, and I think that the important thing here is that you know it's absolutely okay to delegate, and a practice owner should delegate. There are great administrators and billing teams that can do great work for them, but you can't delegate the visibility. And just being able to see what the high level drivers are of your practice is super important. I think that it really speaks to the reason why practice owners started a practice to begin with. It's really for the optionality to be able to control their destiny, to make the decisions that are best for the patients, best for themselves, and best for their family and their future. And so we've seen this among our Clarity clients. We've had over a dozen practices sell to private equity. The first reason is simply just liquidity. Practices who have been built over many decades, blood, sweat, and tears. They want to realize something from their investment so that they can retire and ride off into the sunset. But we're seeing something an even broader theme that these survey findings speak to, which is the operational complexity. Managing a practice today is more complex than it was before. Their payer rules are changing, reimbursement rates are declining, staffing challenges remain, inflation is at all-time highs, and so running a practice isn't as easy as it used to be. And sometimes practice owners, even younger practice owners who are earlier in their careers, want to get back to doing what they do best, which is practicing medicine, seeing patients, and making patients' lives better. And so it's really about that optionality, which is driving practice owners to potentially consider a sale. I think it comes down to visibility. I think that dermatologists, practice owners that I speak with, oftentimes are using the signals that they see day to day to assess the health of their practice. My waiting room is full. I'm busier. I'm working an extra day this week more so than I was last week. My bank account is full. And so they're using signals that they can see and feel to really assess how their practice is doing, but that doesn't always tell the whole story. And so making sure that they have the instrumentation and the visibility of what the drivers are in their business will really help them make informed decisions for their practice. And I think that's really a big takeaway from this report. Well, I think it speaks to, and this survey was focused on practice owners, but I think it speaks to the number of pressures that are arriving for private practice owners at the same time. Reimbursements are going down, inflation is going up, staffing remains a challenge, but demand remains at an all-time high. Almost three-quarters of of the respondents in our survey indicated that they were seeing more patients today than they were a year ago, and that number continues to rise. And so, um, all of this can result in a feeling of just overwhelm. And then when you factor in all the administrative duties that a practice owner has, burnout can sometimes feel like it's inevitable. But the good news is that many of these challenges are operational, and a lot of these things can be fixed with increased visibility and improved operational practices. And that's what we're here to help our practices with. I'm incredibly optimistic about the future of independent medicine, particularly in our space of dermatology, just because structurally dermatology um, is very healthy. As I said before, demand is at an all-time high. Skin cancer awareness is much higher today than it was 10 years ago. Skin checks are a great way to continue to engage with patients. And then there's the cash pay component, the elective cosmetic component that continues to see 30% year over year growth. I think that I'm very optimistic about the future of dermatology. We have artificial intelligence that our dermatologist practice owners are using regularly to make their practices more operationally efficient. And I think the tools and the technology that are going to be available to them are going to get better and better over time. And I think that this is very positive for the specialty. Number one is just visibility. And that's a recurring theme in this report, where the practices that are reviewing their numbers and that understand what those numbers mean can make more informed decisions about their future. They can decide whether uh, buying a laser makes sense. They can make a decision based on their CPT code mix, about which payers that they should be in contract with, and whether they should renegotiate. And so the having the visibility into what is actually driving your practice rather than managing the practice based on feel is really what separates the practices that thrive from the ones that don't. First and foremost, uh, you can start small and just have a simple dashboard of KPI metrics that you want to track on a month over month basis. This could be as simple as the number of encounters, what was my overall procedure mix, what was my denial rate, and just measuring those things month over month and trending those measurements out can go a long way in helping them understand what the drivers are in their practice. If I had to just make one takeaway from this, it would be that demand for dermatology is extraordinarily healthy, and the complexity in running a modern day practice is at an all-time high. So it's really just about building the operational rigor to meet that demand. And I'm very bullish on the future of the specialty, and we look forward to making this survey an annual event where we look at different elements of independent practice in dermatology.